Hello friends, today is the 2nd of May and our today's Viva topic which is objects life cycle in Java. So basically the object which is we can say it is an instance of the class, and we can also say the object which is a real world entity, or we can say it is a runtime entity. And we already know that the object has a main three properties that have objects, which is state, behavior, and identity. That means state means object have always the value, and a behavior which is objects represent the functionality of that, and another one properties which is uh, identity. That means the unique ID which is implemented to objects at the creation of object. So, when we discuss about the life cycle of objects, that we know that we can consider as a human being, there is also life cycle, or we can say everything that has exist on Earth, it has already has some lifespan of creation. That means the born of that things, uh, and lifespan, and after the dead of that particular things. So that's why I told you that object has also real world entity that have the object is also they have its own life cycle. That means objects has a born, and it has some lifespan, and after that the destruction of object, which is the deletion of object, is also happening in there. So basically when we create the object in our program, for example we can say if I have the class which is a student, when I create an object of that student class which is student st1 equals to new student and parenthesis. So here the st1 which is a reference variable for that particular object, and student which is a class name. When I create the object of the student class, the reference variable is allocated or point to the memory when we using the new keywords for the creating or initializing the objects, and objects are stored in the heap memory. That's why they point, or our objects variable reference variable, it points to the reference variable, the heap memory addresses of that particular objects. So I create the st1 object of that student class, and after that when I create student st2 new student, that means I create the second reference variable for that same class. But when in the sense when we store the second reference variable to the first reference variable, that means st1 equals to st2, that means in our right hand side st2, it assigned to the left hand side our which is present the st1 objects. So when we store the st2 object in our st1 objects, that means the all the properties of that st2 objects that have, we are storing it in st1 objects. Then after that when we initialize the our second reference variable which is uh, st2, when we initialize it the value which is a null, then after that the st2 it points to something location in the heap memory also. uh, but after the storing of st2 object variable in st1, they the null, when we initialize the st2 variable null, then it don't have the reference to the particular location in the heap memory. But still our first object reference is still the have the location, or still it have the reference of that particular location which is present in the heap memory. So that is the deletion point of that particular object. And we can also say that our reference variable is act as a remote control also, because when we change the reference variable, then the allocation of that particular memory in the heap memory is also the changes. It has act as a remote control, because when we use a remote for our TV also, there are some lot of buttons are available. That means we can change our channel, or we can increase or decrease our volume of that particular sound of the or the display qualities. So that's why the when we use the reference variable for that particular objects, so in the sense remote control as when uh, yeah, we have the choice of that buttons that we are putting in our remote. So that's why buttons in the object related things, in the sense which is the methods and variables. So that means when we use that reference variable objects, then using that reference variable, we can use, or we can implement all the classes functionalities of that variables and methods which is present at that student class. We can get access through that reference variable. So these are the benefits of that reference variable. And the lifespan about the objects, that means when we create using a new keyword, the object is born. And the lifespan of object, we are discussing that we are changing the reference variable st1 or st2, then we are storing that in another one. So these are the lifespan. And after that, when it don't points to the sometimes the memory location of the heap memory. So I think there, in that time, there has a ultimate automatic Java garbage collection is also available in that Java program. So that's why we don't need to explicit the garbage collector, because it implicitly present and happen, and it is ready to work to collect the all unnecessary data objects, and remove all that objects from the memory. It has the work of that garbage collector also. So this all about the life cycle of life cycle of object in Java. That's all from my side. Thank you.